Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Wednesday Workshop Live. I am so thrilled to be here with all of you. I'm Diana here at Sew in Common. And go ahead and sign in. I mean, not sign in, but type in the comments and let me know who you are, where you're from. I see we already have some folks. Hello, Gail. It's nice to see you again this evening. So glad that you could make it. And tonight I actually have Facebook up on my phone over here so I can kind of see if we have questions and all. I know we did last week, and I do apologize that if I wasn't ignoring you guys, but I couldn't get it to come up and work properly. So if you see me looking down here, that's what I'm doing. I'm checking to see if we have a question or something from someone on the Facebook feed, because we're feeding live to YouTube and to Facebook. So whatever is more comfortable for you to check in with us, that's where we're at. So hello, Ruth. It's good to see you. Ruth, you are from Lake Stevens, Washington. I am so thrilled that you are here. My husband and I lived in Washington State for over 21 years. We lived up on Whidbey Island, and then we lived in Seattle. So it's so great. It's like having a neighbor here. So nice to have you with us from Lake Stevens. We love that area. So great for you to be here tonight. And welcome to everybody else. If you're new and you're just popping in to see what this is all about, this is the Sew in Common channel here at YouTube, and we're all about patchwork quilting done with the embroidery hoop. In fact, let me grab one for you. You can see my gross arm there for a second. There we go. With our embroidery hoop. I like to call it 21st century patchwork because, way back when I started doing patchwork, we did everything by hand. We cut with scissors and we sewed by hand, everything, from the piecing to the quilting. And then like in the 70s, we moved into doing it with our sewing machine. Boy, was that a nice upgrade. And then now that we're in the 21st century, we can do it with our home embroidery machine, not just the finished quilting, but the actual piecing as well. So I'm thrilled. If you're brand new and you're with us tonight, welcome. We're so glad to have you with us. And if you've been with us for a while, of course, I love having you guys here. And so please don't forget to sign in. And I have someone signing in, Bryson from Pennsylvania. Well, you know what, Bryson? I've lived in Pennsylvania too. So yes, that's right. My husband and I lived out in Pittsburgh for a while when we were first married. It's a beautiful state. We used to love to go down to the Point and see theater and stuff on occasion. We were poor young married students at the time, but we could tend to scrape together our pennies so we could go see like a good theatrical production and stuff occasionally. You know how you do that. And so looks like we have a couple of people over here on Facebook. I can't see names, but welcome. So glad that you're with us. Now we'll run until about 7 o'clock. If we end a little sooner, then I'll let you all go. I don't want to keep you longer than I have to. Try not to go over. I know there's another group that has an event on Wednesday nights, and I know some of you like to go to it. So while you're all signing in, I am going to go ahead and get started because I've already kind of given you a sneaky peek about a guest that we're going to have here for a few minutes. So I want him to come right on in. Everybody, this is Dave, my wonderful husband of 42 plus years. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, Bever.
Nice of you to be with us tonight. I asked Dave to come because guys can quilt too. And I know that we have a lot of guys that quilt with us here at Sew in Common, but Dave, he's our biggest cheerleader at Sew in Common. He tells everybody, like, I meet people when we're out doing stuff and they're like, oh, you do that. You have that quilting thing. And I'm like,
Sew in Common. Right. Yes.
And I'm like, oh, he's been talking again.
Yes.
But it's so great to have people that are always in your corner and support you. So Dave, I have a few little questions for you to see how much you know about quilting.
Okay.
So first of all, can you tell me what the difference is between a jelly roll and a charm pack?
Okay, jelly roll, when you get them, they're round.
They are round.
They're all kind of round around each other, and I think they're like strips in that round shape.
They are.
And the charm pack, I think it's smaller squares. The jelly rolls are 2 inches wide or something, and there's a whole bunch of them. And the charm packs are, I'm just going to take a stab, maybe 5 inches by 5 inches.
Very good. He did good, right, guys?
What?
So
wow.
a jelly roll, as we all know, are
Okay.
2.5-inch strips. It's a designer's fabric collection. So
Okay.
we get. Did you all know that basically when you buy a jelly roll or you buy a charm pack, you're getting basically a yard or so of fabric? It's kind of cool, but they've pre-cut them. It's a type of pre-cut. Yes, Ruth, you are right. There are mini charm packs as well that are 2.5 by 5. And Gail says, "Bravo! You did good,
thank
honey.
you.
You did very good."
Thank you.
And can you tell us now what a fat quarter is?
You said fat quarter.
That's our joke. He thinks it's funny
Okay.
when I say that.
Okay. A fat quarter is a quarter of a yard.
Very good.
And I don't have any idea why it's called a fat quarter, other than it hangs out with jelly rolls and Lucky Charms. And that's got to be a reason.
Well,
But
Ruth
it
is telling us right here, a fat quarter is a quarter of a yard, but it's cut 18 inches by 21 inches. So you get like a bigger piece. If you just went to cut a quarter of a yard of fabric, you would just go over that quarter of a yard in inches and you'd have like one big long strip. With a fat quarter, you kind of really get more usable fabric in that amount of fabric from the bolt.
Can I ask you something? So outside the US, is it still a fat quarter, or is it a fat 20 centimeters by
that's good. No, you know, we kind of make folks outside the US use imperial measurements in quilting. It's kind of, well, now I will say that they do buy their yards in a meter. So that's different. But fat quarter stuff like that are still pretty much the same because it's kind of a universal. Hello, Eileen. It's so good to have you with us this evening. Welcome, welcome. Guys, he did pretty good, right? So Dave is, if I had a tour bus, Dave would be the tour bus driver. He's the one that goes, yes, he'll point out all the different places for us to see. And you're the one who holds all the bolts of fabric for me when we're at the fabric store, right, sweetheart?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And
4 or 5 high before I have to go get the cart.
Yes, because there's a place that has a cart that you can roll around on wheels. So he just follows after me with the cart on wheels. Yeah. So I just wanted to introduce you all to my best bud and my sweetheart. He is, like I said, he is our biggest cheerleader, and he wants to actually learn the process.
Well, I have to.
So we're going to keep him to that, right, everybody?
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to. So should we have Dave back after he's learned maybe to make his first half square triangle?
Ooh, the pressure.
Should we? I think we should. We'll have him back again when he can do a little demo for us.
Will people make fun of my stitches?
No, and why? Because with Build-A-Quilt, you don't have to worry about it. All that's built right into the pattern.
All the better.
That's right. That's all the better. Yes, yes. Okay. Well, I know you've got stuff to do, honey, but thank you so much for joining us. Say bye to everybody.
Bye-bye.
And can you, there you go.
Yeah, I'm recording.
We have to do a little rearranging later when we get to the demo, everybody. But isn't that great that he came on? Yay! I really strong-armed him earlier in the day. I'm like, you're coming on. You're coming on. So, but I love having him on. He is truly our biggest supporter, for sure. He has helped me set up all the stuff. He listens to all the ideas and goes, and even when he doesn't know, but he's always supportive. And it's always nice to have supportive people with us, right? It sure is. All right, everybody. So as we get started, I'm going to have a little section each time if I have things to show you called Thank You for Sharing. And I have a piece I want to bring up. I'm going to add it there to the camera. And we are thanking Gail tonight. She sent this in. Now, actually, let me take Gail's piece down for a moment and show you this. This is a project we did last year called the Dirty Snowball Runner. It's a snowball block, but instead of doing the white block on the white being on the inside and the color being on the outside, the background, we flipped it around. And then you can see I just did a little swirl quilting pattern for us to do that in. So that's mine. And I just did scrappy. Most of that is Lori Holt fabric. And mine is 5 wide. Wait, is it 5 wide? Yes, 5 wide by 3. So it's a pretty good size little mat. I like putting it on the table that's out by the front door and stuff like that. But our good friend Gail sent us this picture, and I absolutely love this picture. Now, first of all, let's get something out of the way. Gail said, "Oh, but it's not perfect." Remember what I say, everybody? Perfect is the enemy of good, or beautiful in our case. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's really no such thing as absolutely perfect. And I think this is beautiful. And I wanted to thank Gail for sharing it. And I want to talk to you for just a sec about something about this that inspired me, and maybe it'll inspire you. So you saw in the piece that I made, I did all kinds of scrappy fabric. I love scrappy, so whenever I can do scrappy, I like to do it. However, with Gail's piece, do you notice that all of her snowballs look like they're patchwork? Isn't that cool? That's fabric. It's just fabric off the bolt. And I wanted to bring that to your attention because sometimes I tend to look past those kinds of fabrics in the fabric shop, but they're perfect for items like this, that where you can highlight that. So Gail, I think you did a wonderful job on this, and it looks like you did so much more work than you did because you used that fantastic fabric. So let's thank Gail for sending that in. Thank you for sharing with us, Gail. I really do appreciate that. Now, that is the only one I have to share with you all. However, if you have a project or a piece you want to share with me, you can always send it in at support@sewincommon.com. Let me get there. You can send it to here, and then I can share it with everybody else, because really that is how we get inspired, guys, truly. Now, I do have some other things that I want to share with you, and I have to bring those up. Give me just a sec here. Oh, I loved this one. These are some little cartoons that I found. My doctor told me to get more fiber, so I went to the fabric store. Is that you? I loved that. This came from Handy Quilter. I loved this. I thought it was great. So yeah, the next time your doctor tells you to get more fiber, just go get some more fabric. I think that'll work just fine. Alrighty, and then I have another one I can show you, another one, and then we'll get going. Let's see. I had a couple of these. Let's see. We'll show you this one. You're not buying all that fabric, are you? Yes, but look how much I'm leaving behind. Isn't that you too? That's so, this is Dave and I at the fabric shop. Are you getting all of that? Yeah, but look at all the stuff I haven't even looked at yet. Look at all the stuff that I want to get still. Luckily, he's very supportive, and he's like, sure, go for it, honey. Do your thing. Alrighty, I think we've got some comments here. Let me just look. You guys are great tonight. Oh, Gail, I'm so glad you enjoyed making that. Excuse me, I need to grab a tissue. Allergies. Are you guys dying of the heat? We're like at almost 100 again. And I hear it's not going away for about 5 or 6 more days at least. Then we'll get into the high 80s. Oh boy, which it'll feel like freezing out probably after the heat we've had. It's just so stinking hot. I am thankful every day for the AC, especially with my allergies. So, alrighty, there's one more thing I wanted to show you that has to do with what we did last week. And then we're going to get started on our new project. So remember last week in our demonstration, I showed you how to make a half square triangle. Now, actually, we're going to do that again tonight, but we're going to be making a smaller one because it's part of the project. I'll share with you how we're going to break all of that down here in just a moment. So this is last week's half square triangle. Look, no stabilizer left. I washed the stabilizer out and gave it a press. Between these two sew lines, exactly, still 4 inches. Now the pattern you got, if you got the free one off the website, that's a 5-inch half square triangle. I made a 4-inch last week because I already had that pattern on my machine. But yeah, that is still 4 inches. Look at how beautiful it looks. and absolutely no stabilizer, no nothing left. Now, I want to show you this because you're going to see this and you're going to think either the pattern's got a problem or you've done something wrong. See this little loop right here of thread? That is the thread that when the very first thing we do, we sew that outline box onto the stabilizer. It really doesn't have anything to hold on to. It's just there as a guide, really. And so when you wash your stabilizer out, occasionally, sometimes they will weave into the other stitching, but sometimes they don't. And if they don't, just when you're done, just snip them off and be rid of them. But you're not going to undo any stitching. It's not going to cause you a problem. But I wanted to share with you what that little loop you might see. And as you can tell, I don't have them all the way around, but on this one side, a little bit of it came out because again, when you wash the stabilizer away, you're washing away what it was holding on to. However, like I said, sometimes it holds on to the other stitching, but sometimes it doesn't. So if you see that, that's a problem. But I wanted to just show you that because no one would ever know in your quilts how you've pieced it, because it looks just like you've pieced it any other way. And so when you go to do your finished quilting, you just have your fabric for your top, your layer of batting, and then your backing fabric. Super easy. So I wanted to show you that tonight. All righty. How are we doing, everybody? If you're just joining us, please sign in. Let us know where you're from. We've got a great group joining us tonight. Now, I wanted to show you, you can see this week, we are starting our first Wednesday Workshop Live project. And it is going to be a project from our My First Build a Quilt series collection. This is all the written material you'll get. And I'm going to tell you what's in here in a moment. But the cool thing about this, even though it says My First Build a Quilt, doesn't necessarily mean that these are so simple that you can't do them if you've been doing patchwork in the hoop for a long time. Because really what the My First Build a Quilt series is going to be about is skill building, helping you learn how to do different segment pieces, putting them together in different ways, and making beautiful quilted projects in the process. So I'm just going to turn around a little bit. This is, now I haven't sewn it together yet, and I have done that for a reason. Normally when I show you something, I'll show you the project done. I don't want to do that with my Build a Quilt because I want to be able to take a piece off, show it to you closely, show it to you during the demo, things like that. So yes, not everything is lining up perfectly like right there. It's because I just got things on here with little tacks. I found some really great little stick pins that have a super fine pin on them. So I'm not putting big holes in my fabric. I really like that. And so as you can see here, last week I briefly told you we're going to be learning 6 different segment pieces, from the most simple to one that is a little not hard. Nothing in this process is hard. A little more complicated only because it has more fabric with it. And so this is the pattern set, and this pattern set is already available over at the website. I'll give you that information here in a little while. This is called Stars and Diamonds. Can you see the diamonds here in these 4 quadrants? I always call these the pole positions, north, south, east, and west. And then you've really got 4 beautiful stars here, but those stars aren't made in a traditional way necessarily. They're made a little differently. And then we have this really fun modified pinwheel in the center, and those are called modified half square triangles that we're making. All righty. So in the pattern set, you are going to be making, I'll show you this. I always show you right up front what you're going to be making in the process, what segment pieces you're going to make. Now, in regard to organizing your segment pieces, I just organize mine by pattern. However, because they're sized, if you want to make folders and put the digital files in folders, you could do that because it will tell you in your instructions what size pieces you're going to make. Then you could just go to those folders and pull them. And that way it might make it easier for you to pull them when you're creating something else. You don't have to remember, oh, did I use that back when I did Stars and Diamonds or whatever you're going to make. All righty, I'm just checking over on Facebook. Okay, so then it gives you some general instructions, and then you're going to get a sheet that tells you how many of each you're going to make and the finished size. And then starts what we call the cut sheets. The cut sheets are to tell you how to cut your fabric. And in this pattern, there are 2 of them for each one. It tells you what it is, how many you're going to make finished, and what to cut. And if there are fabrics, I like to do fabrics 1 and 2. And then I will tell you for the sample what colors I used. But remember, you can always use any colors that you like. If you're going to use different colors, then go in on your cut sheets and just where I've put, say, fabric 1 red, just mark that out and write in whatever color you're going to use. That way you have kind of a chart to help you follow through the entire time that you're doing your project. And then I have what I call a segment piecing layout. This is each segment piece that we're going to learn to make and which pieces of fabric get laid down when. So let's just look at our flying geese unit here. This one is our first piece, second piece, third piece. That can help you follow along as you're making your pieces so that you know like what direction. Like mine shows up on my screen, but the colors are light. So sometimes I don't see them really clearly. I can always sign up there or see those there. And then you're going to get a full layout and instructions on how to put the piece together. Then you're going to get our Stars and Diamond coloring sheet. I know that's kind of hard to see from the glare. If you're going to use different color fabrics, make yourself a copy of the coloring sheet and get some crayons or colored pencils and play with it. See what colors you like before you go and start cutting fabric from your stash or even before you go to the store to find out what you need. And then you get a full picture. And then in my first Build-A-Quilts, I might not do it every time, but I'm going to try to do it most times because I want you to be able to go from beginning all the way through to it being quilted and bound and done and on the wall, on the bed, whatever, for whatever size and all it is. So you're going to get 2 templates because you're also getting 2 just very basic beginner stipple stitches because one of the evenings that we are doing this, we are actually going to walk through the quilting process. And then there's just the rest of the instructions, things like that. So that's what comes in the paper packet that you can download. You don't have to print it, but like the coloring sheet, stuff like that, I like printing out my cut sheets, things like that. That way I can take them over to my table, things like that. Alrighty. So that's what comes in plus all of your digital files. And now when you go out to grab your thing, it will tell you right on the thumbnail all the different file extensions that come in it, which are really basically all the ones for home embroidery. Alrighty. Now, any questions so far? Because if not, I'm going to tell you how we're going to break this down and we're going to get right into our demos. Any questions at all? I'll give you just a second. If you need to check in, if you have anything to say at all, want to say hi to one another, now's your chance. Alrighty. All right. So this is how we're going to break down Stars and Diamonds. This is going to finish at 20 by 20 inches. It's going to be a beautiful small wall hanging, or it will be beautiful in the center of a table. It would be lovely against the back of a chair, something like that. This is also a great size if you want to add an envelope backing and make a really big decorative pillow for the living room, the family room, the bedroom, wherever you want to put that decorative pillow. This is a great size for that. 20 by 20 is a real nice, I still consider them kind of up to 24 inches to be that mini quilt size, although mini quilts, I tend to think of like 6 by 6, 8 by 8 for the whole quilt, but it's still that small, tiny quilt size that is a nice, beautiful decorative piece. Now, here's the other thing you can do with this. This is 20 by 20. If you made 3 of these in a row and then 3 rows of 3 of them, so if you made 9 of these, you would have a beautiful 60 by 60 quilt. No, 20, yes, 60 by 60 quilt. That would be a gorgeous, huge quilt for a wall hanging, or for, you could do it for a baby, a nursery, something like that. So, because really this is one big, could be considered one big block in the end, and then you could make something bigger from it. But I love this size because I have a place here in our home where I just flip these out all the time. I've made so many in this size and I just turn them out. Every couple of weeks, I just put a new one up. Something new, something pretty. I chose these colors for this one because we're getting close to the 4th of July and all. And I thought it might be nice. I don't really have like any red, white, and blue quilts that I put out or anything like that, but a nice little wall hanging in those colors. That would be kind of nice to hang in our home too. Alrighty, so this is how we're going to do it. Today in week 1, each week we're going to do 2 segment pieces in the demonstration. Then you're going to go off and you're going to make those segment pieces that week. And you've only got, well, I won't tell you that with the half square triangles, you have 16 of them to make, but they're done like that. I pieced that whole thing in about 2 hours, maybe. And then with the cutting, I think I did everything in about 3 hours, which was not very long at all. So it doesn't take a lot of time. But each week we're going to do 2 segment pieces. And they're going to be pieces that kind of work together. So today we are going to do the 2 simplest, or the 2 most basic. We're going to do the square because we have 4 solid squares just in the corner. We're going to do those. And because these are 2.5 inches finished and our half square triangles are 2.5 finished, we're going to do the half square triangle as well. So I'm going to demonstrate again the half square triangle because I think if you repeat enough, then it gets easier for you to remember. And then this is so simple, but remember the reason we do these solid pieces like this is because it gives us our stitching line for when we stitch everything together, everything matches up easier and you don't have to use that 1/4 inch foot to sew your final pieces together on these larger blocks and all. So this week is squares and half square triangles. Next week, we're going to do the solid rectangles and the flying geese units because those are both of our rectangular pieces. And then on the 3rd week, we are going to do our diamond in a square and our modified half square triangle. 2 of the more involved pieces, still the exact same process, but because you've got more pieces in them, I'm saving those more to the end so you feel more comfortable. And by the time we get to these 2 pieces, you've already learned what you do when you have a corner and things like that. So you're ready for that. That's why we're not starting with the most complicated one at the beginning. We're going to work up to it. Okay. All right. Any questions at all? Anything? Bueller? I just saw that movie the other night. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Alrighty. So you are going to need a dark blue, a red, a yellow, a little bit of light blue and white, or any other color combination that you want. And all of the information about what to cut and size and all of that is in the pattern package. This whole pattern, including the quilting, is a $5 package. This is a $15.95 value. That's what a package like this would sell for individually with the quilting and everything in it. So this is a great value and it is going to stay at that $5 price range throughout the life of the project. Then it will go up to a regular price. But while we're doing it and while you're here and we're live and we're involved in doing it together, I want you to be able to just easily be able to go and grab it. It's like grabbing a cup of coffee. In fact, it's less than a cup of coffee. And that way you can get involved in doing the Build-A-Quilt. And by the time you're done, you're going to have a really good set of skills ready to go. Okay. And then in our 4th week, we will, at the end of our 3rd week, I'm going to send you off to do your layout and to sew it together. And we'll talk about that a bit. And then on the 4th week, when we come back, we'll do the quilting. Okay. And on the week after that, we'll be ready to start something new, but then everybody can come and show their projects off, because if you are doing this with us each week, you should be able to get it done easily. All right. So let me back this over. Talk amongst yourselves, because I have to bring over, actually I have to move this out of the way and bring over the machine so that we can do the demonstration. So give me just 1 minute. you have questions, please go ahead and add those in. I have a very small space here for the demo, and also I can't have anything over there. I didn't know quite how I was going to do that tonight, but I think we figured it out. Let me make sure everything is turned on, plugged in. Good, good, good. Now I come back in here because once I move the camera over, I'm stuck in this seat until we're done. Yeah, I'm bringing everything over. It's a to-do. I'm going to turn my machine on. Now I'm going to flip the camera over, guys. All righty. No questions? All righty. All right, so here we are at my machine. I have my fabric. Now, because I'm doing two pieces, I can do both of these pieces in one hooping. So we like that. And when you do your half square triangles, you can do two in a hooping if you're using your 5x7 hoop. If you have a 6x6 hoop, you can do 3 in a hooping. I think, no, I got 4 in a hooping in that. And then with your squares, you can do 2 in a hooping. So you're going to get have 2 hoopings for your squares. Okay, let me just bring up my pattern here. So the very first thing I'm going to bring up is my square, 2.5 by 2.5. Set, there we go. And now I've got my hoop. It has my water soluble stabilizer in there. Add that in. There, you can see that. Good. And I'm going to move it. Watch my hoop as it moves, because I'm moving it all the way up to the very top so that then I can, when I'm done with this, I can move it all the way down and I can do the second demonstration, and we have everything all in one hooping. We like that. Okay, and I'm going to change my hoop size on here so it looks correct to me. Doesn't really matter, but there. There, now it looks right. Now, the very first thing, I've got my gray, my pearl gray thread in. I'm going to go ahead and stitch down my my border, my boundary box. I've got my glue stick. Okie dokie. Okay, so there's my boundary box. Let me bring this out so you can see it. You can see my boundary box there. That tells me now I'm just going to cover that over with my square fabric. And remember, the cut sizes you get in the pattern are going to be, I'm going to put myself a little bit of glue stick there. And just like with our half square triangle from last week, all the glue, everything washes away when you wash out the stabilizer, which I love that. Now, so this is smaller, but the fabric piece you cut is bigger so that you have plenty. If you're a little wonky about where you're, like if I'm kind of putting mine like that instead of straight, I still have plenty of fabric. And I have plenty enough fabric for when I trim it out, I'm going to have that perfect border. In fact, I'm going to bring this up a little bit because then I don't have to trim when I do that one down there. Now we're going to put this right back in. And that's how simple it is to do a square, okay? Very, very simple to do this, but it really helps us in the end for lining stuff up. We don't have to worry about using our 1/4 inch foots or marking or anything like that. Okay, so now if I've got one done, I could fit another one in here. So I would just come over to my machine and I would come all the way down, and then I could do another one, and I can actually do my half square triangle there. But there is the finished one. When I take it out, I just lay my 1/4 inch, the 1/4 inch mark of my ruler on the line and cut. And then I have that beautiful 1/4 inch, just like you see here on last week's half square triangle. Now, the reason mine is bumpy like that is because I use a rotary cutter that has a pinking edge. Those little dips in there are taking bulk out of your seams, and that's why I use it. You do not have to use it. You can use any kind of a rotary cutter you like. Now let me bring up my half square triangle. There we go. And the half square triangles that you're making are 2.5 by 2.5 as well. And if you remember, last week you're making a 5 by 5 from that free pattern that you were able to get at the website. So I'm just bringing that all the way down. And this one is 2.5. So this one is half the size of the pattern you got last week. And you're going to end up making 16 of these, okay? And they are going to be, I'll show you I'll bring the board back over before we're done. They're going to end up being what makes the pinwheel inside each of the 4 stars. All right, so our first step is done, our boundary box. And then the second step also gets stitched right on the stabilizer. It is our placement lines for our first piece of fabric. When you're making a segment piece that has 2 or more pieces of fabric, the first piece always gets laid down right side up. Let me bring this out so I can show it to you, because I know you can't see it very well with the gray fabric or the gray thread. All right, so now you can see the placement box right there. I'm going to put my little bit of glue right there. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to I like to start with my lightest fabric. That's way when I do my darkest fabric last, I have no shadowing along my seam line. Sometimes that doesn't always work out that we can do that in a pattern. If it doesn't, that's okay. Don't freak out about that. Do whatever your pattern tells you to do. But when you can, especially with half square triangles, because it doesn't matter so much, you will start with a lighter color. Now, I can feel my stitch line right there. And then if I look to that edge, I've laid that out right at 1/4 inch. Now, if it were a little bit more, a tad bit less, I'm not going to worry about that because my actual seaming is all built into this. You just don't want to put it right on the line right there because it's not going to stitch on it. You need it to be over that line. Now, if I laid it way down here where I'd still have a lot of fabric there, but then I would need to do some trimming. So I try to lay it and I just feel it and it looks good. I lay that down. Now I'm going to put this back into the machine and we're going to stitch down that piece of fabric. First pieces of fabric are always right side up. Okay. Then any other fabric that you use throughout the entire segment piece is always laid right side down. So I'm using a Moda Grunge for my red. I would lay that with the grunge side down. Okay. Alrighty. And that's what I'm ready to do. And this is how easy it is to do this next piece. I take this piece right side down and I lay it exactly over the piece that's already there. I'm not doing any measuring. I'm not making sure my seam is in the right place. It's all right where it needs to be. Then I'm stitching that down. Then we're going to do the flip. Okay. So we stitch and then we flip and then we stitch again. So I really like to call this method stitch, flip, and stitch again, and flip and stitch again. Now I'm going to put my little bit of glue stick right there and I'm going to take and flip this. And you can use a seam roller. You can use your fingers if you like, whatever you want to do. Give that little finger press. And we're going to now stitch this piece down. And that's how easy it is to do a 1/4 square triangle. And what I really love about this system is when I'm cutting things, I get told what size to cut. And if I'm off a little bit, like I'm told to cut maybe a 4.5 by 4.5. If I cut a 4 3/4, or if I have some 5 inches laying around squares, I'll just use those. Yeah, I've got a little extra fabric in there. I don't care. I'll already have it and it'll be done. So I don't have to be, when you do it in a traditional manner, if it says, you need to make a 4-inch finished square, then you know you have to cut everything 4.5 inches. If you're off a little bit in your seaming, you know you have to square everything up. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it, because you don't have to worry about any of that with Build a Quilt. It's so simple. So here it is stitched down, but anywhere where our fabric, it comes together, this final stitch that will stitch all the way around will connect all of those pieces, and that gives us the stitching line for stitching things together at the end. So I'm going to take a little piece of tape, and I like to tape, let me bring this out. I like to tape outside my stitch line. That's your pro tip. Always place your tape outside the stitch line. That way you're not pulling it out of the fabric, and you're not pulling it out of your thread and maybe loosening your thread. So I get pretty close, but it's outside that stitch line. And the reason I'm putting it here is because my needle is going to start here and go this way. If I leave this, let me pull this back off for a sec. If I leave this here, my foot could catch and cause that to turn and all kinds of craziness. And we don't want to worry about that. We just want to stitch in and keep going. So having that piece of tape there will help keep that from happening. Now, when it comes around this side, there's nothing for it to catch here. Even though this is 2 pieces of fabric, it's going in the same direction as that fold. So I don't need to put my tape here, just when it's coming against a fold. So if it were coming this way and could catch that, then I would put it there. But since it's not, I can leave that piece alone. And I'm going to stitch out my final piece. And then our half square triangle is done. That's how easy it is to do these 2 pieces. Now, as I said, these are your 2 easiest or most simple or most basic segments in quilting. However, you're only going to make 4 of those squares, but you're going to make 16 of these half square triangles. So I wanted to show you that. And by the time you have made all 16 of your half square triangles, you'll be an absolute pro. Now I'm going to flip our camera back. And I'm going to take this one off. There we go. I'm going to move my light out of the way a little bit. There we go. There. Okay. Now here's my 2 pieces. I could have 2 half square triangles in here. I could have 2 squares in here. Okay. If you have that 6x6 hoop, like this one, you can literally fit 2.5 inches this way and 2.5 inch segments this way. So you can fit 4. If you have something like this, or even a larger hooping where you can do more in a hooping, do that. Because you're going to save on some stabilizer and you're not moving things around quite so often. It's just faster and more efficient to do it that way if you can, but you don't need to. All you need to do is have this 5x7 hoop. And I know most people have a 5x7 hoop. Do we have any questions at all about the demos for the square or the half square triangle? Any at all? You guys have gotten really quiet on me. I know you're still out there because I can see numbers, but you're really quiet in the comments now. So I just want to make sure. I don't want to leave anything undone for you guys tonight. So in your packet, when you go to the segment chart, it will tell you square, make 4. 2.5 by 2.5 inches. That's your finished size. Then it tells you half square triangle, make 16, 2.5 by 2.5 inch finished. All right. And your digital designs that go into your machine are sized exactly for what you need to make according to the instructions. Okay. And then you'll go over to your cut sheet. Your square is on the first cut sheet. That's super simple. You basically are cutting some white squares slightly larger. And then for your half square triangle, it's going to tell you you're going to make half square triangle, make 16, 2.5 by 2.5 inches. Fabric 1, yellow. So for me, my fabric 1 for these was yellow. And for fabric 2, for me, it's red. That's the bottom half, okay? And okay, we have a question here. You're good. Great, Bryson. I'm glad you're good. Please repeat how many squares in the 6x6 hoop. Okay, great question. If you have a 6x6 hoop, and this hoop is made for Brother and Baby Lock. I don't know if any of the other brands make an equivalent hoop or not, but to be honest, this is my absolute favorite hoop because I can usually do more multiples in here than I can do in a 5x7 because it's square rather than rectangular. 4, you'll bring your pattern in. It'll be in the center. You'll move it up and over to one side and make 1. Then you'll just bring it all the way over and make the second one. Then all the way down, 3rd, all the way over 4th. If they're 2.5 by 2.5 inches. Now, when we get to some of our other sizes, they're going to be larger and you won't be able to make 4 of them in one hooping. So let me move this out of the way. I want to move our actual piece back in now. Because I want to show you exactly what what these are going to do, what parts of our piece these are. I have tried numerous times today to figure out a different way to do this so I didn't have to keep bringing things in and out, but nothing was working. Nothing was cooperating with me today. There we go. Now we can see it. All right. Okay, so here's our piece. Our half square triangles are going to make these center pinwheels. Okay. And so you're going to have 4, 8, 12, 16. That's what those are going to make. Okay. Once you've made them, set them aside, put them in a little bin, something like that, so they stay nice and clean and ready to go. A square hoop too. Yeah, a square hoop is great, isn't it, Bryson? Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And then, excuse me, you're going to be making 4 of your squares. So if you have that 7x7 hoop, or sorry, 6x6 hoop, you can make all 4 of your squares, which basically just end up being in your 4 corners, all in one hooping. So I like to give you that information so that if you can make multiples, again, you're not doing as many hoopings. Sometimes I make myself do everything in a 5x7 just so I know what it's going to take for you guys to do it that way. But when I can, I like to do multiples in a hooping. It's just more efficient. So that's this week, half squares and squares. Next week, we're going to work on rectangles. I bet you already know how those are going to go, right? And then we're also going to work on flying geese units, which is our other rectangular piece. So I put those two together because they're similar in shape. So you go from this to this. So this would be like a step 1 rectangle, a step 2 rectangle. And this is going to be really easy. And because you already know how to do a half square triangle, you already know the general idea of how this gets made. We're just going to walk through it and you'll see it and you'll be like, oh, I get it. It's so super simple. All right, everybody, we have a few minutes left. I don't want to sign off if anybody has questions or if anybody needs anything. Now, remember that you can always contact me at support@sewincommon.com. However, if you have a question, like it was a great question about like how many can you get in that 6x6 hoop of these half square triangles and stuff? That's a great question always to put those in the comments because other people like Bryson, who also likes square hoops, that would give other people the idea of what they could do with their hoopings as well. I could answer that basically for everybody because I will guarantee you that if you have the question, so does everybody else. Alrighty, now we did not do this yet at the beginning. I saved it till the end because you're now going to have a chance to win the pattern set. Okay. By answering the question of the week. This week, our question is, what 2 colors do you like together? So like, for example, are you like Christmas every day, all day, and you like that traditional green and red? Pop that in the comments. If you like, you're welcome, Wendy. That's great. If you have bought the pattern and you end up winning, I will substitute a different pattern for you as your gift. Okay. I've got lots of them out there. So, in fact, I tell you what, instead of this pattern, this week's winners are going to get this month's Quilt Lab pattern, which is our Argyle Diamonds. And last week we made the mug rug from that. So a whole different project. And if you have May's block of the month, you can also make that block with both of those patterns. So the winners tonight will get the June block of the month pattern. Okay. The Quilt Lab. So teal and chocolate brown. Oh, what a combo. I love that because I'm all over the teal for sure. Green and blue, beautiful colors, green and blue. That always reminds me of the ocean, the sea. I love it. I love pink and green, and I think I'll use those plus some yellow. Please, someone else can win. Well, like I said, if you win, it's going to be a different pattern. It's not going to be this pattern this week. It's going to be our pattern of the month for Quilt Lab. Oh my, yes, I like teal and chocolate brown too. Yeah, teal, any teal. Now, really like the O'Neills. They're really like, well, you can see in this banner, this color, you can see, I mean, I use them all over the place. I love it. It's that and red together are like my two absolute favorite colors in the world. So an ocean makes me happy. Yes, Wendy. Oh, I can't agree with you more. An ocean makes me very happy too. I was thrilled when Dave said, he's a biochemist. That's what he does for a living. But he was thinking at one time about, he had taken his MCATs for medical school, did super well. And then they said, oh yeah, it's probably going to cost you. Now, remember, this was over 40 years ago, about $250,000 you'll be in debt when you're done. Now, I know kids are in that kind of debt after just college nowadays, but back then that was a lot of money. To me, that's still a lot of money. But he said, what if I call the Navy recruiter and like give the Navy some service time and then also then go to school on my GI, we used to call it the GI Bill. And I thought, that's fine with me. My dad was Navy. I was a Navy kid for a long time. That's cool with me. I had no problem with it. And he ended up flying for the Navy for a while, for several years. So that's how we ended up in Washington State, by the way. Teal and chocolate brown are beautiful together. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So, yes. So I love living by the ocean. When we lived in Florida, I was a beach rat. And when we lived on Whidbey Island, I was a beach rat as well. Plus, we like to hike in the mountains. So out in Washington State, it was the best of both worlds. You could do both of them. All right. Anybody else want to put in an answer for your two favorite colors together that you like together? Before I hit the little thing that gives me a winner. We're going to have one winner this week. Uno. Or un in French. I'm a biolinguist, so I know the languages and how we do that, and he knows all the rest of the stuff. Thank goodness he's a nice guy because he's so brilliant. He makes me sick sometimes. He really is a great guy. Dave and I have been married for over 42 years. And not every moment in life is ever going to be chocolates and daisies, but together we've gotten through all the hard times. So I love him. All right. No more answers. All righty. Here we go. I'm doing the rolling thing. I can't watch like last week. I can't watch because otherwise it makes me motion sick. Oh, wait, I didn't press it. I need to press something. Oh, whoever wins, please send me an email at support@sewincommon.com so I have your email and can send you the pattern pack. And I will be sending that to you tonight when we're done. And the winner is Wendy Kennedy. Wendy Kennedy. Congratulations, Wendy. You won. Yay. Happy dance. Happy dance. Okay. Yay, Wendy, you won. Congratulations. it's still not too late if you want to tell us what your question, what your answer is. I love that. And that also, I will give you a hint. That will help me kind of figure out some colors to do for other projects for us too, because that always inspires me to do projects when I see them in colors that I love. So Wendy, congratulations. I want to thank you all so much for joining me tonight. We are just about done. Any other... And yes way, yes, Wendy's saying no way, yes way, of course. And Gail's doing Gail loves doing that happy dance. I love it. So congratulations. Oh, Betty, pink and navy, beautiful combination. Betty, that's a gorgeous combination for sure. Could I have an email address here? Yes, let me bring that up for you. Let me find it. support@sewincommon.com. Send me your email at that. Just say, hi, I won tonight's question of the week prize. I'll know it's you. And then I will use that to send back to you. I'll do the privacy thing again. I don't do anything with emails. Dave can't even get into my system to see emails. I don't hold on to payment information and stuff like that. I take your privacy and security as much as I do for myself. So even if you have sent something in before, I might not have an email address for you. So please send that in, please, Wendy. All righty. I'm looking forward to the stitching. Gail's looking forward to stitching. More fun than I thought. Oh, good, Bryson. I'm glad it was more fun than you thought. Next week, again, Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're moving on to our next two pieces, and hopefully we'll have some more fun stuff too. I doubt we'll have another guest next week, but you never know. I'm trying to get some people in the industry to come on and say hi to us as well, traditional quilters, but we'll let them come on too, right, guys? And maybe we'll convert them to build a quilters. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, now's your chance to click that subscribe button. Please like and share the videos, everybody. That's how everybody learns more about this channel and about the Build a Quilt system. And I can't thank you all enough. And until next week, have a great week. Have a great time. Stay cool and safe in this heat. Drink lots of water. And the doctors have told me the best thing to stay hydrated is skim milk. Not Gatorade, full of sugar. Skim milk. Didn't know that, so we learned something new. Till next time, everybody. Sew Life Beautiful. Bye for now. Bye.